Okay, I think we're live.
All right,
Uh
here we are.
hello, everyone. I'm Rebel Trader with Take the Initiative, and I'm here with Dormancy. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. It's nice to be back in the saddle over here for some TTI League. It's cool to do finals. It's exciting. You're gonna see the best of the best for season 5, and I've been playing this game just since like the end of season 1. Been cooking the locals with old Han. And I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon with the new deck list kind of cropping up. So do my best with that. I feel like if I played in a real tournament, I would get thrown out by judges because of the amount of mistakes you make with Yellow Han. But we're living so far.
Well, we've got. I was gonna say we have Red Han, but we actually don't. I forgot we don't. We have Sabine and Palpatine here.
Sorry, my mic is going. Well, my mic is fine, but my headphones are going crazy. Give me one
Weird.
sec.
All right, so I'm showing you the bracket. Let's go and take a look at the deck list while these players are shuffling up. So this is Codyf13's Sabine list. He was the #1 seed going into this tournament, and he has performed really well so far. This is a pretty classic Sabine deck. Running Pose, Wreckers, Dark Sabers. Only 2 Dark Sabers in the main. He's got the 3rd in the board. He's also on 3 Daring Raid, which is not too standard, but enough people are running it that it's not terribly surprising. And then this is Kotul's Green Palpatine list, which is running a lot of really interesting things like Cobb Vance and Bounty Hunter Quarries, which aren't exactly standard. But I mean, it's just a Palpatine deck that runs, the double green things like Command and Enterprising Lackeys, and then a bunch more ramp cards to really get this going. So
Jumping back in here, I gotta say the daring raids are low key kind of wild. I love that choice. Using that as like reach, and honestly, what like that'll do in the early game for in like a aggro mirror match, or even in this particular hand, being able to deal 2 damage without sacrificing one of your units is kind of massive. I'm really curious to see how much value they get out of that if they draw it.
yeah. This is a pretty good hand for Kotul into the aggro deck. He's got Yularen and Royal Guard.
Yeah, really important early game, and that quarry too. That's gonna set up more tempo if they can stick one before Cody's forced to trade here.
Yep. And R2 going first is not the greatest open for Sabine.
Yeah, I could see Cody trying to set up later plays. Sabine is so strong on 5 and 6 resources now that having a little bit of like deck filtering to try to get those like big power cards out makes some sense to me, but they are going to lose a little bit of tempo quickly.
Yep. Wing Leader picked up on the draw here. Very interesting.
That'll definitely give R2 a boost. That unit gets a lot stronger with a few experience counters on it.
Yep.
But what you said about the early like anti-aggro hand for Kotal is just kind of doubling down now. We see the Royal Guard, we see the Traitorous. There's a lot of stuff there that could really keep this in their favor. And once we get to late game, it that kind of hand like sends Kotal to a place where it's really hard to come back if you're playing aggro.
Yeah.
Okay, the guard's down. Does that have Sentinel yet? Is
Yeah,
Yularen an official?
is an official.
Okay.
And it's a 3/5 also because of Palpatine, which means this R2 can't kill it. I can only get about half of it.
Yeah, that's
done.
A fair trade at best, but not what you want to see if you're trying to be pushing damage on the base this late in the game. Even it's only 3-4 resources, but you really want to put some pressure on at this point. And Kotal's just been able to wall out so effectively.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, even the point there gets kind of beat back by Yularen, right? Like, what a good defense against the action there.
Yep. This is sort of a weird hand. It looks like Kotal resourced the Cobb Vance so he can play Bounty Hunter's Quarry, and Gamorrean Retainer here. The Retainer to just be another Sentinel is honestly not bad.
Yeah.
Although he does get cleared by the Sabine attack. But I mean, just blocking damage is fine enough as you push further into the late game.
Yeah, I mean, what a wild start for this deck that, has so many like late game opportunities and ramp things that you really want for the game plan, but don't always want to see against Sabine. And Kotal just drew into the perfect like early tempo hand here.
Yep. I think we could see an ECL on K2 to take out this guard here. And that would be big because it would, or no, it wouldn't actually because of. No, I think it
And
would
K2
it
coming
would
out
prevent a
nice.
lot of plays here. Yeah. So now R2's got 3 health left. Yularen can only do 2 to him. He could play Retainer and then Palp it to get the kill on the R2 eventually, but that just doesn't feel amazing.
Yeah, it
Retainer
feels kind
coming
of
down
bad.
here.
It's definitely you're sacrificing a lot on your side to find that quarry proc, but this Gamorrean's definitely coming down. As you said earlier, Sabine will be able to clean that up. You're looking at a lot of damage units, but it's getting to a point where it's going to force Kotal to trade the Yularen in, and because of the nature of that hand, which has been really good against the early plays, Palpatine doesn't really have any ramp yet either, so this is kind of swinging quickly because of the ECL.
Yeah. I imagine we're going to see the second Bounty Hunter's Quarry come down on one of these guys. I'm not sure who.
Yeah, I mean, all in doesn't feel horrible, but I mean, yeah, actually, K2 has
Yeah, goes
less
K2.
HP at this point, so I think it makes sense to try to proc one there. There are some decks where you can't really like stack the bounties, right? Because something like Waylay can just take them all away, but against Green Sabine, I don't know that there's anything that can flash the bounties, so
Yeah.
spreading them wide is fine, spreading them tall is fine.
Yeah, the only thing that really could is Poe, but the ECL's been used. That's not as much of a threat.
Right, right.
And here's what happens here is the Yularen ends up clearing the K2. I was going to say he could do that. But Kotal sort of jumps the gun on it instead of waiting. So now that this Gamorrean Retainer doesn't have Sentinel anymore.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, if Quarry procs, does this get played instantly? Because
It
Quarry can bring a
doesn't.
new green unit onto the
Oh, it
board.
does actually. Wait, I'm thinking of Cobb.
Yeah, nice. Okay,
So
so
it does
bringing Cobb
actually
Vanth
proc.
means that there's like a really sticky unit here. Even if Cobb dies, you have another opportunity to play something even smaller. And that puts Gamorrean back in the defensive position, which is a kind of a heads up play on the side of Kotal.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm amazed at Cody's ability to push damage on this turn and clean this board up. It really shows you the strength of Sabine, right? Like R2 being able to go in over so much like heal and sentinel there. And 13 damage already on Kotal's side. This looked so much in their favor for a moment there.
Yeah. Darksaber picked up here is very interesting. So is Cassian.
Yep. Yeah, whenever you draw that, you're looking at hero on board, you're like, okay, like I don't know how R2 is gonna hold this thing if Sabine goes down, but he'll find a way. Although, if you put that on anything small other than Sabine, uh Traitorous could get really dangerous really fast.
Yep. And Cobb goes and kills
Wow,
the
okay.
R2, which means Cobb can now not kill the Sabine.
And now Cobb is kind of the wording on that card, I think suggests that you pull something and discard it, and then you're able to play it on a separate action.
Yep.
Can you play it?
We lost you for a second. Okay. Looks like we lost Dormancy. Yularen hit off the Cobb, and now for the Bounty Hunter's Quarry. We'll see. And that can get 3 or less. So that's actually a pretty big swing there.
Yeah, it looks like Yularen's off in space here. Like they're gonna have to play that separately as like an individual action because Cobb doesn't let you play it immediately when it dies. So that is going to kind of affect the action economy a little bit. That being said, Sentinel is maybe the best pick you can get from Quarry right now when you're trying to triage a little.
Yep. Because Sabine can't kill this without help. With like a fleet lieutenant, she could get there. Or if the Darksaber comes down, she could get there. Or a smuggled out Cassian could also just defeat it. Yep.
Oh,
And
interesting.
that's what he's going with.
Call.
Oh, but the traitoress.
Yeah, that's just tool in this. It was all in season 1 too. You're looking at essentially a 6 resource swing at the worst. You can target something with like that cost 3, because you're stealing 3 and they're losing 3, and so that's always worth it with traitoress. But if you can get something that has experience, or yeah, something like a Darksaber on it, the swing is so massive in your favor. And right now, just looking at this board, like there is some damage on Kotul, but there's so much to play with, and Yularen back to bring that life total back to a safer spot.
Hint barrage, that
Brutal.
might be the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah. You don't want to see OB ever when you're playing aggro, and I think just drawing it right off the top there, once that board was established, is really nasty. Oh, okay, though. Got some gas in the tank there. Now you see what we're working with.
Wrecker's interesting here, but without ECL, he doesn't feel that great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big body on the board. We are kind of afraid of the Palpatine flip turn if Wrecker takes a little hit. But being able to do 5 and then swing the next turn for 7, unless there's a response, that does still kind of push damage.
Cody elected not to use the Sabine ping here, which is interesting.
That's interesting. I wonder if they're saving life. They do have a pretty scary board they're facing down, but they don't know the opponent's hand, but there's not a lot there to sort of double down on that.
All right, Wrecker comes in, defeats another Wrecker to wreck that Sentinel.
Yeah, having 2 of them is definitely scary. I mean, 12 damage on the board is definitely meaningful, and that's going to rack up a little bit further unless we sacrifice into this Wrecker. But just knowing that there's another one online, it's kind of hard to say what Kotul wants to do here, because they are looking at a potential steal going into 8 resources.
Yeah, but if they let just one attack happen, then they're taking 7.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And they have to expend both their units here to stop that.
Oh, well, it's got overwhelmed. It's still going to punch through, but yeah, they're just not going to let it happen.
Yep.
I think that's the safer play. Kotul is working towards that late game right now, and we see the Devastator in hand, so that is coming online. It only takes a swing or 2 by the time you reach that point in resource to seal a game, but not wanting to get too greedy with the Wrecker, the steal, knowing that there's another one on top. I guess that it's kind of clear that Cody could deal with the first one with the second one, and maybe that game plan wouldn't be so worth it. Yeah, we got a little guy on the field. 3-3 for 2. Nothing finer. And just going to play more Sentinels, really. Just trying to shut down this early game. It does feel like this green Palp deck is tacked towards putting up a big defensive wall in those early turns.
Ooh, there's another Cassian coming in from the resource row.
Oh yeah, nice. Making really good use out of the smuggle text on that card. And it's staring down 2 Sentinels. Kotul deciding if it's worth trying to punch here.
He does go to base. Cassian is going to clear the Sentinel there. We'll see if the Palpatine ends up stealing the Cassian. And
I know,
he
it feels like you might
does.
as well flip just to get the damage rolling to keep tempo on your side. The life lead is now very much in your favor on the side of Palpatine, pushing 4 more damage and setting up potential lethal this next turn.
Yep.
Oh, and he sacks it too. Wants the card draw. That's interesting.
And yeah, and like you said, Kotul is 6 damage away from winning the game, and he's got 10 on board right now. I don't think. Let's see. Or I guess let's see. Wrecker plus Daring Raid can potentially get you there, depending on how the sequencing goes.
Yeah, he could he could even, well, no, if he steals the mercenary ship, it just comes back. That's the classic time walk. But Daring Raid does show its value here, being able to pick off either of these threats that are in like the 3/2 space. There is still some dangerous stuff in hand on the side of Kotul, but Wrecker instead just gonna sack a resource, knock a unit, and there is enough here on the play. Okay, so electing to develop rather than attack, and this is gonna put
Yeah.
Mercenary Gunship in a spot where it's weak to Daring Raid.
Yeah, and Kotul would have won the game right now if he had just attacked with the mercenary
Right,
gunship.
right. Yeah, it's
But Cody's not gonna
flip where suddenly you're kind of on the beatdown, right? But I think Cody sees there's no line here, and it's just gonna go into the next one.
All right.
So looking at the sideboard, I mean, I think Fangfighter is good enough to look at versus Traitorous for Cody. I'd be surprised not to see that coming in. I don't know about anything else in there.
Yeah. Maybe the third Darksaber, but honestly, like against Palp, you really want to avoid it getting stolen.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it's nice to have it on 4 if you can stick one, but otherwise, like the fear of putting a Darksaber on something that can just get nabbed by Traitorous or Palp's ability does make it kind of a tough choice.
Yep.
On the side of Kotul, we do have Confiscates. We have more Bounty Hunter's Quarry, which I wouldn't mind seeing. I think that card did really well in the last match. Resupply is a little bit dangerous, but another Traitorous could definitely be strong, and Confiscate's that good anti-Darksaber tech. We might see that.
Yep, for sure. Let's see. On Sabine's side, I might consider bringing in the Sundari Peacekeepers just to have like a 5 health guy.
Yeah, it is nice having like a larger body going into things like the Royal Guard. Being able to trade a little bit more evenly with that does feel like it would be meaningful. And being able to clean up those early game units, we saw a lot of early game from Kotul sort of to like line up the late game, right? Like all the early Sentinels, any one of those can be cleaned up by Sundari on the attack.
And it looks like the Fang Fighters did come in.
Fang Fighter right in the hand, in fact. Maybe holding on to that as a tech choice. Traitorous is so dangerous. This lets you play a little bit more aggressive with things like Wing Leader. And if you bait out a Traitorous, you can quickly kind of snap that tempo back. So I love that choice, holding onto that card. Wants the Daring Raid. Thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, that helps with the Gamorreans early on. Doesn't really kill anything else. I guess the Space Sentinel wasn't really represented last game, but there it is in the deck list.
Yep.
And in the hand today too.
No Emperor's Royal Guard in hand for Kotul, which is big here. And Sabine, I think, is a bit better of an opener than R2 was last game.
Yeah, this is an interesting play. looking to kill Yularen early, not let that healing engine set up. I think that's a wise choice. And
Yep.
oh yeah, Quarry coming down. We're gonna be able to do that right now too with Crumb in hand.
Yeah. We'll see. The Wing Leader actually is a counterplay to that, and Fangfighter
Oh, you're
actually
right.
kills the Bounty Hunter's Quarry, which is like sort of a counterplay.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Wing Leader would definitely keep Sabine alive, and then you could Fangfighter next turn just to really hammer it in.
Yep.
I love Bounty Hunter's Quarry in this deck, though. I think that card is still pretty underrepresented. One drop that fishes for a 3-drop is so strong. Like even outside of synergy points like Bosk, I think that it's definitely a powerful tool.
Yep. So going for Fangfighter here does mean that Sabine is going to die. It just prevents the Bounty Hunter's Quarry.
Yeah, gonna trade there.
The Wing Leader would have been, in hindsight, would have been a better play here, I think, because it would have made the
Yeah, I mean you
Sabine
could have
not
set
only
up
survive
a
but
little
be
bit more
bigger.
damage with the Sabine, and then moving into the next turn made a choice about whether or not Fangfighter was worth the play there, if versus saving it for something like Traitorous. But um, it's definitely not too bad. They still have the advantage on board here. They're starting to rack a little bit of damage. It is fairly late in the game for that to kick off, and the unfortunate part of all this is that Wing Leader, well, I guess because of Sabine, you still have a target, right? Like that's an important thing
Yep.
to factor in. It looks like we're going to see that now too, and this sets up a pretty decent medal ceremony as well. Not for nothing, the experience track is going to kind of kick off for Sabine. And well, no, does medal ceremony work on disabled Fangfighter? I guess it doesn't, right?
I
Because
know it
it's
doesn't.
heroics.
Yeah, it's Rebels only.
Yeah. Okay. So you'd only get one score from this, but I guess maybe it's worth saving at that point. Like one extra buff for Sabine will matter, but you really want to get two for that thing.
Yeah. At this point, I don't think it would matter that much. But next round it could be pretty strong. I imagine we're going to see Fighters for Freedom come down after the attack into the Gamorrean. And now, like another like hindsight thing, Cody resourced the Daring Raid on turn 1. That would have been real nice to have here.
Yeah, I think we're talking about when the deck lists were up. Daring Raid is kind of a unique choice in this deck. It's not something you see very frequently,
Oh,
and
and
it
there we go.
does kind of.
ECL is used here to make the
Oh,
medal
that's so
ceremony
smart.
better.
Because yeah, that's going to trigger ceremony, and it's going to clear the board. That's so good.
Yeah.
Daring Raid does gum up your for a cause rate a little bit, but it is 2 burn itself. So if you whiff on Daring Raid, you're keeping it and using it the next turn for 2 anyway. So it's not really a horrible loss outside of like the card slot in your deck. And yeah, there's so many 3/2s in this particular matchup, especially that Daring Raid makes such quick work of. And holding on to this one, you might see that right now. There's a Gamorrean in hand.
And this, looking at these hands, this looks like a very favored spot for Cody.
Yeah, Sabine looks really good here. I mean, the board is wide. Command may be able to change that just a little bit, but you sacrifice ramp in doing so. And instead, yeah, having to go for the Gamorrean guards for a bit of triage and just watch the strength of this 1-drop card. Boom, Dunzo. 1 for 2, and you're opening up the lane here for Cody to just kind of swing right into base. And there's still so much resource to play with. Like Daring Raid is very efficient. It's a classic Magic the Gathering card too, right? Like 1 for 2. You got Shock. Any card game's gonna have that archetype, but you see why it's like always effective in moments like that.
Yep. And that's going to be 4 from the Fighters for Freedom. And then a Wing Leader is going to come down,
Yeah.
make this Sabine massive, hitting for 6, I think.
Yeah. Sabine
Boom.
looking pretty massive here.
And there's a
the
Cassian
board
in the
is
resource
clear
row,
too.
remember.
That's the biggest part.
And
Like
Forecast.
green villain could stick a traitorous, but you can't swing overwhelming barrage without something on the board. And the resource position that Kotul is in, there's nothing you can really play and OB at the same time right now.
So Officer does manage to hit the Cassian. Here.
Oh man! All right, well, down to 5.
But I'm just not sure how much it's gonna matter.
Yeah, it doesn't feel too meaningful right now. I mean, command coming out. What can we hit with this? Anything?
You can clear fighters for freedom, yeah.
Okay, so that is something.
But I think it's actually just over this turn. Sabine attack plus Furikaz plus Fang Fighter attack.
Furikaz is likely going to push through. Sabine pushing 6 right now, bringing this to 25. I mean, what are the chances that you don't hit 2 off of this Furikaz, right?
Yep. That's 6 coming in. And the moment of truth.
Okay.
And Kodyl's just going to skip it up. Not even going to see
no, he just calls it. Come on, you don't want to see the... I saw Daring Raid and Disabling in that deck. Make him draw.
And we're going into a game 3. And Cody now has the chance to become the first American champion of the TTI League since the release of the game.
Yeah, would love to see more of that. You know, playing these games at 5 p.m. EST is feeling great for me. So if we can get a lot more NA players into this league, keep those standard time matches coming, that would be amazing. And right back into it. Just happy with their sideboarding choices. Couple red 3s in the hand. You want to hold on to one of those and carefully choosing some plays here. I will say from the first 2 games, it does feel like the Palp deck is a little bit weak in space right now.
Yep, and Cody just drew a very space opening here. He's actually not going to go for the space. He's going to use that ECL early to clear the Yularen.
I do kind of like that. It's it doesn't seem like this deck has a lot of really good, like it doesn't have ECL of its own, so there's no way to really deal with a stuck minion like without sacrificing the development moment for that opponent. So like this Battlefield Marine is going to stick around. Then again, I mean, drawing that Poe off the top, like ECL with Poe is so strong.
Yep.
And well, we'll see if it was worth killing the Yularen early. The life gain engine is important, but Palp does run out of cards pretty quickly. Okay, Quarry on deck.
Nothing's going to be able to kill this Marine this turn because there's no Salacious Crumb.
Yeah, with Fleet, you have really good action economy here, right? Like you can elect not to take your unit action and just pass the turn. Fleet could even trade into one of these early drops next turn and protect this Battlefield Marine just a little while longer. Hard to say if that's worth it at that point. Oh, we're just going to go right off. Yeah, get this out of here.
And with the Traitorous in hand, that might seem a bit premature, but getting the Quarry is still a valuable play.
Yeah.
And so whatever Kotul plays here is going to have to trade with the Marine to kill it.
And deciding not to kill 2 Yulorens with this unit, going to start pushing damage.
The Royal Guard's in hand.
Yeah, we've got the Royal Guard. We also have Darksaber on the Sabine turn.
Yeah.
Sabine can't be stolen, which is a meaningful part of this whole ordeal. And I guess, yeah, Kotul knowing that and going for something a little bit safer, setting up Royal Guard and making sure that they don't get like hard punished by that play, because it's such a classic. Sabine with Darksaber, very hard to deal with.
Looks like he's going to pass it up and just go for Fleet Lieutenant to take out this Royal Guard.
I like that. That's not a bad idea. I think keeping the board kind of even here and not going all in. Overwhelming Barrage is definitely the boogeyman of decks like this, and so Cody may be sort of hard playing around that option because we are going into that turn where Overwhelming Barrage can do really serious damage.
And not deploying the Sabine there and opting to take the initiative is very interesting.
Interesting.
And it looks like he's just gonna preemptively take out that Yularen before potentially like another Royal Guard comes down or something.
I like that play. It does set up Sabine to Darksaber on this following turn, and being able to just like maintain the board is putting a lot of pressure on Kotul, who is not really able to like stick anything and make those like attack choices of their own. They're heavily on the defensive throughout this.
Yep. All right, and there is Good Morning Retainer to yet again thwart this Darksaber play somewhat. I mean, you can still play the Darksaber, it's just not going to do anything.
I mean, you can play Poe now too, though, and we have kind of the glory of all sight, but unless Kotul can go to some serious top decking, this is going to be so dangerous.
Yep. And just if you look at like the card advantage here, Kotul's now down to 3 cards compared to, you know, even more than that just on the board for Cody. But the Barrage could equalize that.
Play into Poe here.
That's a big one. Could equalize it somewhat at least. Yeah, it's going to clear. It's going to do 5. So that clears, 3 units here.
Yeah, cleaning up a little bit. I mean, 5 on Cobb means they're going to be taking 8 from Poe this turn.
Potentially more if the Darksaber comes down.
Oh, that is a good point. Yeah.
But Wrecker also could come down here, which is probably
one
just
resource
as good
left,
play,
one card in hand. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Wrecker is also brutal here. Yeah, that knocks the Cobb out. I think definitely a safer option, and yeah, this looks incredibly good for Cody. I don't know what Kotul could possibly have in the following turns to make this come out on their side. Like, Poe into Wrecker is just always going to be so nasty. We're going for the Darksaber for fun. I think that in a way, I love this play.
So that could be 12 damage to this base now.
All right, we're doing 5 to Poe. And looking for 2 drops here. Salacious Crumb is in the pile.
Yeah, Crumb might be the best option here. Scanning Officer is not amazing here. Crumb at least gets you a heal. But Scanning Officer isn't official.
Heal 1 off this, but you're getting knocked for 12. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
And honestly, this goes all in expecting for a cause to go off, right? Like that's pretty sick.
Yeah. All right, and here's Poe with the Darksaber. 10 to base.
Right, 12 up.
We'll see if he does 2 more. Oh, he's actually going to go for the discard.
Oh, I see. Okay, just keeping the hand clean. I like that. I mean, either way, you're setting yourself up for a 1-action lethal here, and it's going to come down to this top deck. Oh, no chance. That ain't going to do it.
And Codyf13
it's
coming home.
Throws the cards on the table.
Coming home.
Yeah, we've done it finally. NA takes a TTI season in season 5 here. Good stuff to Cody. Marvelous play and really dealt the massive hand in game 3 there. I love Kotul just top decking, just like, where are my guys? Like, who could have gotten me out of this? But sticking Poe, you know, like I said earlier, ECL is so strong on that unit, but Cody definitely had the right idea using that early and just keeping the board clear, forcing a reactive play and kind of keeping Kotul on the back foot. So when Poe did finally come down, it didn't matter that ECL was gone. Like, the board was so developed that it just kind of paved the way.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, good stuff. Season 5.
Yeah, season 5. Another one in the books. Season 6 will be closing down soon, and then we'll get into the Top Cut for that. So
So how many players are coming from each season?
it's usually top 16 each season.
Okay, nice. And but for because you have things lined up after this, I don't know how uh like after the sixth season, I think some of the best players are going to be playing against each other. And how many people can we expect to see there?
Oh yeah. Oh, so the Invitational. So the Invitational is going to be held the 7th of September. And it's
Oh,
basically
okay.
everyone that made a top cut and everyone that played at least 2 seasons worth of games in the past like 6 months. So
Cool.
we've got, I think there are about 90 people that made those qualifications. We've got about 30 signed up so far, and I expect to see more.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I
So
mean, 90 people like that have this option. That's a pretty massive group here, and you've been kind of cultivating this thing since like was it the beginning of the first set or just a little bit after?
since even before, really, we've been running
Yeah.
like we ran preliminary seasons starting in like I think December.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nice. So like in a way, I think a lot of people like to say this is like the highest level of competition for these tournaments because like anyone's available to it, and so someone from like Norway can play against someone from Mexico, and uh, there's not so much the barrier of not being able to enter. So having the best of the best come together, I think that'll be a really interesting event.
Yeah. Our top four was, I believe, two Polish players, an American, and a Norwegian. So we had we got people from all over. Um. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream on this one. Stay in touch for more news about more matchups, and shout out to Dormancy for joining me here for the commentary.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Always so fun. I'll definitely try to find some games in season 6 once we get this invitational, fully fleshed out. So stay tuned. It's always fun to see the deck lists drop too. Like anyone who's playing at home, it's always worth taking a look at what other people are experimenting with, and bring this to your locals. You get to show people the new sauce, catch someone off guard. It's a great resource. So thank you for putting this all on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And always, of course, remember to